We have about 30,000, 26 to 30,000 housing units right in that neighborhood. That's not a bad number. We've actually gone down a little bit. We're about, according to Don Graves, who runs that department, in April of 2009 we had about 160 vacant foreclosures. Now, there are also people who are still in the house. There's another stat, people who are still in their homes who are suffering with that, but the ones we really worry about obviously are the vacant foreclosures. You know, obviously there's costs involved. Like Mayor Leiken said, cutting the grass. We send out our inspector. We have 6 inspectors, 1 day a week. They're out there doing vacant foreclosures. That's all they do. And Don does a good job of supervising them. So that's we're taking away from doing other things when they're doing that. We have a ordinance which requires registration of a vacant house, where they have to, give us information so that we're able to contact folks and keep the property, in good condition. And there's a fee that goes along with that. Another issue that hasn't been touched on, but that we're starting to see right now, is people who flip houses. They buy them, come into the neighborhood, fix them up, and sell them. We're catching them. Don does a good job of going out and catching them, because they're using unlicensed, unregistered folks. That's another issue. We got to go out. We're looking for the big dumpsters in the front yard. They're gutting the houses, which is a good thing that they're fixing them up, but they're a lot of times using unregistered, unlicensed folks. So we're cracking down on that. That's an issue. And that breeds another problem. You have a property that's sold at a very low level. And you have the people coming in from out of state, buying the houses and flipping them. That's an issue. Obviously, what's been talked about, the foreclosure crisis, it's affected our property tax base. Most of that money goes to our schools, but the cities get part of that as well. Our income tax base as well. You have a vacant house, you don't have a high or an income earner at all on that property, so that becomes an issue. You also have that neighborhood pride, issue. I drove down a street today and I saw three homes with long grass, and I'm thinking, okay, I wrote the addresses down. Are these just rental properties that maybe the people aren't cutting the grass? Are they vacant? Are they for sale? And it's, you have that issue. You have 4 or 5 great houses. People take care of the property, cut the grass, beautiful property. Then you got this, you got the 5th or 6th house that's being run down. So you've got that issue to deal with. The good news is that we are being more aggressive. We're getting neighborhood stabilization funds. We got $1.6 million, and we hope with that money we have to use in 16 months. Our goal is really going to be not to really rehab homes, but to tear down, find the 40 or 50 houses that we need to tear down, get them, tear them down, and make the neighborhood better because of that. So those neighborhood stabilization funds that Ed and Bill talked about are going to be real helpful to us. Unfortunately, the federal government, we were supposed to get the money April 1st. Now they're saying June 1st, so that money can't come too soon. One other positive, I think Judge Nancy McDonald has done a good job of working with the cities, working with Jim, of getting a program in place. We can actually get these properties, these foreclosures, on a fast track. We notify the court, and we can try to get the foreclosures moving quicker so they don't linger for a year or 18 months like they have in the past. So they've done a good job about stepping up their efforts of getting them off the dockets and getting them moving, or keeping them on the judge's dockets instead of spinning them off and getting them moving and getting them sold. So there's a lot of bad, but hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I have heard over the last week or so of 2 families who moved to Broadview Heights, North Royalton, who are going to move back to Parma. They bought a house with an adjustable rate 3 years ago. They got no furniture in their house because they're stretched too far, and they want to come back to the inner ring suburbs because it's affordable, we're safe, etc. So maybe we'll see more of that in the next year. So I don't know.
That's a great point, Dean. When I saw the name of the play, it was Dream/Home. So was it the Dream Donor Home, or was it what you just said, people reaching out for a dream home that was beyond their reach? And that's the one thing this crisis has taught us. There's plenty of blame to go around. In some cases, they probably shouldn't have made that reach. We've only got a few minutes. Let me start with Mayor Cervenik at that end and see if we can work back in the time we have left. Questions here. What has it done to the level of confidence of people who live in, I'll pick your community first, it's going to be Euclid and Lakewood. What are you hearing from your residents? How do they feel about this scourge that's visited upon them that they have not asked for, has had such a radical impact on their lives?
Jim, I think initially it was a very frightening experience because we weren't used to it. I was born and raised in Euclid, and when I was this big, there weren't, like Dean said, there may be 1 or 2 houses for whatever reason were vacant. So it had a very frightening, very disheartening effect upon people's attitudes about the neighborhood, and it took a lot of education from us and a lot of action from us to get people to understand that, number one, it isn't just a Euclid problem, so if you go somewhere else, you're still going to have to deal with it. Number two, we are setting aside funds to deal with it, and that's our abatement program and tearing down homes that really do need to be torn down. I remember going to the first house we tore down on Oriole Avenue. The neighbors were on their lawn chairs having a picnic, and when that first wrecking ball hit it, they were all cheering and they were very thankful. Now they're seeing progress with the work you've done and the work we've been doing and the grant money we've been getting and the allocations of our general fund we've done. They're seeing progress, and they have hope again. They can see that they held in there, and they're also helping us. We've asked our residents to, you see somebody in a vacant home or you see a truck drive in, even if it looks like it's a legitimate repair truck, call the police. We want to check it out. A lot of times they're in there tearing out the copper, even though it looks like a legitimate truck. And people have really come across that. They call in grass that's cut. We have an ordinance 6 inches, we cut it. We assessed $58,000 worth of grass cuttings last year. We're not going to tolerate it. People are learning that. We used to charge $50. The banks thought that was a good deal. Now we charge $150. They hire somebody to cut it themselves, so it works out good. So at first it was a little scary, but as things are getting better, I think it's bringing back a sense of community and pride, and at least that's what we're working for.
Ed, how's the morale holding up in Lakewood? Have you heard some of the similar kinds of emotions?
Yeah, I think that it probably hit rock bottom probably about a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, and I think a lot of the reason for I'm trying to think the right word. It's not. I was going to say depression. I guess we should say recession, not depression. But I guess the real frustration came because when the crisis really hit, there were a lot of people that didn't see government doing anything, whether it be local government, federal government, or county government. And I think that there's been a lot of progress in all three. And what I found is people don't expect perfection. They are at least used enough at this point. They're used to the fact that there's going to be a certain number of problem properties in the community. They can handle that, but what they want to know is that their government is as impatient with the situation as they are. So, for instance, when you talk about one of the things that really drives people crazy in my city, and I'm sure it does with everybody up here, is when they see a house that is just visibly not maintained, whether it be high grass or peeling paint and so forth. And it used to be just for the city to come out and cut somebody's lawn used to take us sometimes in excess of 30 days. We try to get it down now to about 72 hours. So when once they've been cited, so once they see that we're as frustrated and impatient with the situation as they are, and that we're starting to make progress, that word is starting to get out there. So I know we've said a lot of things about how down things have been. I really do think there's been a little bit of turning the corner in the situation because folks in Lakewood have realized that we have a plan. It's going to take a while, but we are slowly but surely cracking down on the problem properties, starting to acquire them, knocking some of them down, forcing some of the banks to repair them. And I also have to compliment you, echo what Mayor DePiero said, Jim, and that is that they also realize that this is on the county's radar screen, and I think that's just going to accelerate as the land bank really gets into full swing. And even at the federal level, I think they've been encouraged that things are finally being addressed. So hopefully it's going to get brighter.
Thanks, Ed.